like the idea of skateboarding, but you're in it more for like the travel, like long distance travel or leisure, you should try looking into longboarding, because longboards are actually made for long distance travel and make it really comfortable and easy, whereas skateboards are more for short distance or for tricks. If you like the idea of like a cruising or just like a leisure experience, but you still want to be able to do some tricks, longboards do have their own group of tricks that you can do, and there's even a whole like subgenre of tricks called Longboard Dancing, and it's kind of difficult to get started, but there's still a lot of simple moves you can learn how to do pretty quickly. And I believe it was a trend in like 2018 to like film it on YouTube or something. I don't really remember. So if you like the idea of cruising, but you still like the idea of being able to do tricks, you can still do that. For example, this is a freestyle board. Freestyle boards are pretty much used for just about anything. You can cruise, you can do tricks, you can even do longboard dancing, which was a trend in like 2018 or something. But that's a freestyle. But like I said before, longboarding is great for cruising, which this board is actually a cruising board. They look very similar. The only difference between the two is that the bottom is tapered. So yeah, you can both do tricks, you can ride it for leisure. I think it has a lot more possibilities than skateboarding does. Although there are different boards specified for different activities, there are different varieties of shapes within those categories of longboards. So for example, just because I showed you my one freestyle board, that doesn't mean that that's the only shape that the freestyle boards come in. So to start off with our different types of boards, I have the freestyle board. This is probably going to be the most common one you see, just because it can be used for almost any longboarding activity, so it's very versatile. So as you can see, there are different kinds of boards that I didn't get to. There's quite a few in the cruising category that I don't have, and in the freestyle that I don't have. And the main differences between them is just the shape provides a different kind of ride for your individual wants. However, there are two sections that I don't have, which are the free ride and downhill boards. Free ride is more for tricks and for doing things at different speeds. Downhill boards are exactly what they sound like. They also have a cruiser board in there, but these are either meant to go fast or to be a steady ride down hills. So one of the defining characteristics of a longboard is that it is long, which a skateboard is not. There are a couple different lengths of boards. For example, I have a short board, I have a mid-sized board, and there is also a larger board, which is, I think, anything above 50 inches. So this is, I think, it's like 30-some inches, and this one right here is 40-some inches. And using my height as a reference, I'm about 5'1". These are fairly big boards. So why would you want a different length of board? Well, there's a couple different reasons. First of all, a shorter board is great for people who are younger or shorter. It's a lot easier to control, and it's just easier for foot placement for people who are just shorter height. A mid-sized board like this one here is good for like average height people, but it's also great because it's not super long where it's hard to control, but you can still get that good long distance ride in it. So this is kind of like your all-around length board. However, if you were to get a 50-inch board, that is going to be great for people who like longboard dancing, because it gives you a lot of space to kind of move around. And it's also good for longer trips because it's a bit more comfortable. However, it's a lot harder to control than a short or mid-sized board. now that we've gone over the different types of boards, we can start to get ourselves prepared to get onto it and start riding. So the first thing we need to figure out is whether you ride regular or goofy. That's pretty easy to figure out. So I'm going to show you how to figure it out right now. And the easiest way is to come up to a set of stairs or just something you can step onto and see which foot goes on to the bottom step first. So for me, it's my right foot that goes up, which means I ride regular. But if you step up with your left foot first, it means that you ride goofy. So what that means is if you stepped up with your right foot and you're regular, that means that your right foot is going to be the one that's going to be pushing and giving you all your speed and power. If you stepped up with your left foot, that means your left foot is going to be pushing you and giving you all your speed and power. It's really easy to kind of figure it out, but if you don't feel comfortable with the way that you found out with this method, you'll usually kind of figure it out once you get onto the board and start riding, because one side will feel much more comfortable than the other. So just to recap, regular is you're pushing with your right leg, and goofy, you're pushing with your left leg. So now that you know your riding style, we're ready to start practicing mounting and balancing the board. So if it's your first time ever getting onto a board, I'd recommend trying it in the grass, because if you try it on the concrete and you fall, it's not going to be super fun. So now we're ready to mount our board. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line your non-dominant foot or your leading foot to the side of the board that's going to be easiest for it to get on. So for example, my non-dominant foot is my left foot, so I want there to be an easy transition from the ground to my foot. So now we're in the position where if you were on the concrete, you could actually start pushing and get onto your board. However, I'm going to show you guys what to do after you've pushed. So what you're going to do is you're going to lean into your non-dominant foot, and you're going to push your foot onto the board. Now your feet are kind of adjacent to each other, and it might seem very easy to kind of keep your feet in this position while you're riding. However, that's not actually what you want to do. What you want to do is you actually want your foot to turn and be parallel with your other foot. So how do you do that? You're going to just pivot through your ankle and not through your heel until they're parallel. So if you were to pivot through your heel, the front half of your foot would actually be off the board, but if you pivot with your toe, the back half, and that is a lot of times going to cause you to kind of turn in one direction or the other every time you get on your board. So just keep that in mind while you're pushing. Okay, so now that you've kind of aligned your feet on the board, the next thing you're going to want to do is stay on the board and stay balanced. This is kind of a little bit easier said than done. So what you're going to want to try to keep in mind is you want everything from your ankles to your knees to your waist and even your shoulders to all be in a straight line. That is going to kind of keep your center of gravity on the middle of the board. And that's what's going to help you go straight and stay balanced and upright. A lot of times you'll see beginners, they'll kind of like overcorrect, and that causes their body to not form that straight line. It kind of curves, and that is how you fall off the board and eat concrete. So always try to keep your body straight, but don't lock your knees up. Locking your knees up can make it harder to correct if you need to. So keep your knees loose, but overall keep that straight line and try and move with the board. Okay, so now that we know a lot of the basic steps, we can actually start to longboard. So you're going to have your longboard on your surges. You're going to put it, your non-dominant foot in the front. You're going to kind of keep your 2 feet parallel at first, and then push through with your dominant foot. Go forward, pivot through your ankle, and allow the board to carry you. So with that shot, it's a little bit difficult to keep balance when you're going slower. So it's important that when you're going, that you don't let yourself get scared by the balance. It's It's a lot easier to balance when you're going faster than when you're going slower. So just remember, be ready to move, and that confidence is really just key. And sometimes with longboarding, you have to be ready to go fast, and you have to be just ready to go. So now that we are kind of comfortable with moving around, it's time to start learning how to turn. Turning is super easy. It can be a little scary at first, but basically all you're doing is using your toes or your heels to push yourself either forward or backwards onto the board. It can be a little bit scary because you might be inclined to kind of use your upper body to lean as well, which is not something you want to do because that's actually how you can fall off, which is not very fun. Just remember to only use your toes, and that if you lean to one side of the board, I'm starting to move, if you lean to one side of the board, you'll either go left or right, which is something you'll figure out pretty easily. So now the last part is stopping, and there's two different ways you can stop. One is using your foot to stop, and the other is just getting off the board. Before stopping, just make sure you're aware of your surroundings so that you can pick the safest option. So we pretty much covered all the basics, and I just wanted to let everyone know that this is the way I learned how to longboard. So just because something doesn't seem right or doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean that it's not right or won't work for everyone. So just keep that in mind as you're learning how to longboard in the future as things get more complicated, because not everybody skates in the same way and everybody's a little bit different in their learning process. Thank you for watching, but I gotta get out of here. I hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining. I'm Angela, and I'll see you guys next time, I guess.